welcome back to another video, and today I'm getting stuck in with my new self-care videos. So yeah, I have a whole list of things that I want to talk about. But in this video, we're going to be talking about 5 alternative forms of self-care. So I am in my sunroom, which is my favourite room in the house. There's plenty of sunny stuff, but also if the light keeps changing on this side of my face, that is why. So if you follow me on social media, you may have seen that I recently started up my own business, because I'm a business lady now, and it is called the Self-Care Emporium. And basically the Self-Care Emporium is all about taking care of your well-being, your emotional intelligence and your emotional health, and yeah, giving you all these kind of like metaphysical tools that I use in my everyday self-care routines. So things like crystals and tarot cards and all that good stuff. So I really wanted to do more self-care videos, and this is one of them. So 5 alternative forms of self-care. These are going to be tips and stuff that are slightly different from what I have seen other people give, but I'm sure other people have offered these tips as well. And yeah, so these are just 5 things that I know that I use quite a lot and help me with my kind of mental health and stuff like that. So that is what we're going to be talking about, and we're going to get straight into it, otherwise this video is going to be way too long. So here we go. So the first tip that I have is something that I've been doing very recently, and I started doing it because I listened to a podcast with Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the author of Eat, Pray, Love and Big Magic and multiple other amazing books. And she spoke briefly about writing herself letters, but from the perspective of love, as like a personified person. So she would write herself letters from love and basically saying like, I'm here for you, I know this sucks right now, but things are going to be better. And I kind of took that concept and made it my own a little bit, and kind of experimented with different ways that I could use like letter writing and postcard writing. Writing yourself a letter, it feels ridiculous, and especially in modern times because nobody writes letters anymore. But it is actually one of the best things that I have started doing. I don't do it like every day, and I don't do it every week even. I just do it when I feel like I need to kind of get back in touch with myself, or if I'm being really harsh on myself or unkind, then I'll write myself a letter basically giving myself support, and it helps. You don't have to send it to yourself like in the mail or anything. You just write it, and then when you're feeling a bit down, you can reread it again and you have like a stash of awesome letters to read. Tip number 2 is crystal meditation. So I do this pretty much every day, give or take. Some days I'm just like, I can't be bothered, I want to go to sleep, and I'll just give up. But most days now I've got into a pretty good habit of doing crystal meditation every day, or at least every other day. So whenever I do meditation, I usually just grab a crystal that kind of associates with what I want to manifest or what I'm trying to uncover or deal with. So one of my favourite crystals to use at the moment is citrine, because it promotes happiness and joy. So that's a really good one to use if you're feeling a bit low or you're having a bit of a bad time at the moment. Another one that is good that I really like is crystal quartz, because it brings clarity, which is great for meditation, because sometimes that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on in my brain, in my body, and I need a bit of help with some clarity. So crystal quartz is also really good. All you have to do is literally hold them in your hands whilst you meditate. And usually if it's quite a heavy crystal, I find it works quite better, so like rough crystals rather than like the tumble stones. But because you've got like this little weight in the palm of your hand, you can feel your pulse in the palms of your hand, so it kind of feels like the crystal is pulsing, and it just helps you focus on the crystals a little bit more. And because of that as well, it increases your focus on a part of your body, which means that it helps with the mindfulness of the whole meditation. So holding crystals I find really helpful, not just because they give you really good energy and because they like make you feel good, but also because they help me focus when I'm meditating, because my brain is a chaos area of chaos, and I need help with it. So tip number 3 is tarot reading. So I have gone on and on about tarot cards. I love tarot cards. The Self-Care Emporium sells tarot cards. I do tarot readings. I have tarot cards right here because why the hell not? So usually I will do a tarot reading every Sunday. I'll kind of gauge what level of detail I really need to like get on with the week. So sometimes I'll just do a simple 3-card reading, or sometimes I'll go all out and I'll do a Celtic cross reading. But yeah, I use tarot cards to kind of review the week that has gone and then set intentions for the week that is going to be coming up. So Sunday is a really good day for that as well, because I try and make Sundays like my tech-free days. It doesn't always work out, but I try very hard to make Sunday a very zen day. So doing a tarot card reading, usually in the evening, I'll set my tarot cards out and set some intentions. But it really helps me focus, and as well, I'll talk a bit more about using tarot cards in another video, because I could literally talk about it for hours. But it really helps with, if you are kind of feeling a bit confused about either thoughts that you're having or emotions that you're having. Maybe you're having a really low point. Like a couple of weeks ago, I had a whole week where I was just like, bleh. And having the tarot cards there, setting them out, they kind of reflect back to you what your emotions are and what your thoughts are. So it's a lot easier to digest what is happening and kind of look at it from another perspective, and then it gives you a better idea of how to move forward and how to tackle these things. So tarot reading I find very, very useful, but I will do a whole other video about how you can use tarot cards in your self-care, because they're one of my favourite tools and I think everybody should use them. Tip number 4. So this is kind of like a self-care but also therapy thing. So I have had a number of therapy sessions on the NHS. I have got private therapy sessions coming up when I get back to the UK. It's something that I have a very love-hate relationship with, because the NHS not being too amazing with it. But I have taken things from those sessions that I use regularly, and one of those things is thought training. So I've spoke about this before in the past, and it's all about changing your mindset and taking the negative thoughts that you have and turning them into positives. Again, I'm going to be doing a whole kind of video on how to do this technique, because it's better to understand it step by step if you want to use it going forward. But ultimately it is about writing down whatever negative thoughts that you have are, and then coming up with evidence as to why those things aren't true, and then rewriting that thought but as a positive. So at first it's not easy to explain, but I promise I'll make it clearer. But it is one of my favourite techniques that I've taken from therapy, and it really helped me when I was kind of really, really bad with kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Self-hate, I guess, and like talking negatively about myself and kind of beating myself up a little bit. So it really, really did help, and it does help when I don't really have those thoughts as much anymore because I've done a lot of thought training. But when I do, I tend to just crack out a notebook and I go to town on those negative thoughts. And then tip number 5 may seem like a very obvious one, but it's one that I think people are still very much not sure about, or whether it would work for them. And that is therapy. So even though I have not had the best experiences with NHS therapy, I still would highly recommend that people go, and at least if you feel like you need it, self-refer yourself. Because even though they can be a little bit unreliable, you do again learn techniques that you can use in your everyday life, and it does really help to go there and talk to someone about it and get a professional kind of look at what you're dealing with. I think another thing as well is that people don't really see therapy as like self-care. They see it as kind of mental health treatment, and it doesn't have to be. Like, you don't have to be majorly depressed or suicidal to get therapy. You do on the NHS, so that's why I would say that if you can, try and go for a private therapist. You don't have to have one every single week. It could be a case of you go once or twice a month, because I know that's what I want to do. But just having someone there that you can relay stuff back to and get an outside perspective on things. So therapy is one of the best forms of self-care. It's not just a treatment. You can just have a therapist there just to kind of keep you topped up in your mental health, I guess, and your well-being. You don't have to kind of be at the lowest of the low to get the help of a therapist. It's the ultimate form of self-care if you kind of preempt that and prevent yourself from ever having to get to that point. So that is all for this video. I hope those 5 tips were helpful for you. If not, I'm sorry. I have nothing else to give. But that is all for this video. If you enjoyed it, if it helped, then please like and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in future videos. And that is it. Goodbye. Have a wonderful day.